3545? Well, I suppose we didn't know what we had. And how frightening it ended up being, its horror and its existential nightmare was hidden from us until... 3545 is a wine glass which looks completely normal. At first, us researchers didn't know what we were looking for, but that was when its mystery presented itself. Well, we looked at it. And you see, it seemed to us at the time that its anomalous properties were only caused by line of sight. Quite mistaken. We would take D-class... are you familiar with D-class? Well, you need human beings to test on, especially if you're dealing with mimetics. In the case of 3545, we were dealing with a complex case of non-mimetic, mimetic-like behavior and anti-mimetic properties, just speaking conservatively. We needed human subjects, and luckily the Foundation has a knack for finding subjects. And that's what D-class were. No one would miss them, not even the prisons they plucked them from. Anomalies began to present themselves when line of sight, including the lucidity of the subject, was maintained. Early guesses placed building a mental image of 3545 inside a subject's head as the cause of anomalies. It would fill with an unknown fluid, the glass, that is, and could not be removed but through human ingestion. It was unclear to us as to why, then, when raided one of our holding facilities of 3545, the fluid was easily removed using a mechanical device resembling a syringe. But that's beside the point. Of course, when we first started making D-class drink the fluid, there was no negative effects that we could see on the human body. But those tests proved to be poor predictors, especially considering the death of D. Most D-class describe the taste as different from one another, and not in ways that can be explained simply through subjectivity. One of my colleagues suggested it could be that the minds of the subject projected some mentally constructed taste onto something which was completely tasteless in ways that is not physically possible. I was not inclined to believe him, but, well, here we are, and here I am talking to you.
So D died. What from? Were there many side effects from drinking from 3545?
Yes, well, some. It wasn't clear when we began testing, but then again, few things are in a line of work like... The liquid was completely black and seemed to absorb all visible light on the spectrum. Subsequent tests proved that fact. Exposure to the effects of drinking from 3545 resulted in sporadic cases of nosebleeds, confusion, convulsions, narcolepsy, and hallucinations. Some subjects died. One went completely missing.
Missing? But how?
Well, we didn't know. At the time, at least. But all will become clear. In time.
Doctor, the liquid?
Oh, yes. I apologize. We still don't know what causes the anomalous properties of the liquid. Its origin was and is still unknown. The chemical makeup is untestable and completely obscure. When an individual ingests it, they become aware of a sequence of numbers. We eventually concluded, through much hypothesizing, that the numbers were two sets of 4 vector coordinates that refer to specific points in 4-dimensional space-time relative to the location of 3545. I've brought along a picture.
Do you treat all the girls this way?
Yes, it is. So essentially, this is one side of 3545-1, and this is the other. Don't worry if you don't understand all of this. Remember, one of the dimensions shown on this graph is temporal and not spatial. Now, these areas contain anomalies that are extremely hard to theoretically understand, let alone picture mentally. Now 3545-1 areas can be pictured as octahedral due to their 4th dimensional nature. In all other ways, they seem non-anomalous. But trust me, they are anomalous.
Indeed.
Individuals may travel the length of 3545-1. This may be a highway, or a spot in the middle of the ocean many meters below the depths. or simply a national park. The location in our universe is not important. Individuals who travel through 3545-1 will appear to move from one side to the other without deviating from their path.
Death is coming for you.
Well, exactly, that's what we thought. You see, the subjects who traveled through the areas would seem to remember being sent to some kind of a dream. At least, that is how they remembered it.
Where did they go?
Where indeed? At first we thought that this could not have been the case due to following tests. We sent them in with cameras and recording equipment. This is what was most interesting. While the recordings began normal, D-class traveling down the street, they eventually devolved into nightmarish depictions of what the subject had on their mind. This was...
Yes, I understand why.
Of course! Because it meant the dreams weren't dreams, but were real. Or else, how could we have captured them without tape machines and video cameras? We couldn't...
Go on then. Tell them what happened to all those poor people that you sent in there.
When they came out, they weren't the same. Some had some form of post-traumatic stress. Others ended up in comas. We learnt what we could before we terminated them. Some Foundation researchers even requested they see the ZK class reality failure scenario in person. Most were rejected, though some...
Daddy, come play with me. Is that how you treat all the girls, Daddy? Have you forgotten who you are yet?
Well, it is hard to explain these things. You see, for many of your questions, I just don't have the answers. We soon changed classifications. Euclid to Formiel. Still, those who plan to pass behind the curtain and glimpse the true lack of being of a ZK class scenario will find that it is not like one would expect. We all thought it was emptiness, void, a place where nothing could stand, because nothing is. The truth, however, is much more disturbing. It revealed itself to us just after we found how to traverse them. Hundreds of tests with that goblet. So many wasted minds. When we sent them in there, it was the same. The truth, as it turns out, is that it is not just an empty world. It's a blank canvas. All it needs is to have something introduced into it. Not just anything, but a mind.
You wish to come with me?
No. I want to, but I have work to do. I can't do anything right now. I'm busy.
You left me all alone, Daddy.
I didn't mean to. I didn't.
Dr. Swindon, do you think I'll see my family again? After the tests, I mean.
Of course you will. Now get moving, we don't have all day.
You will die.
I'm here. This is the nothingness. Isn't it?
Here lies the holes, ripping the fabric of all. The punctual ends of space-time, the errors and the gaps in the code. These places you'll never go are only but one thing, a true vacuum. Free from reality, from anything that could ever be.